Hey guys, in this video, I want to share with you 4 free and very simple things that basically 10x my business that you can start implementing today. So I don't hear a lot of people talk about this on social media. Most of us are just talking about products and foam cannons and all that sort of stuff, but I like talking about the detailing business because really I consider myself more of an entrepreneur and a business owner that uses detailing as a business. And so the reason I say that is because what I've learned about the detailing business and like related industries is that there's a lot of lack in the detailing industry from a business perspective, that if all you do is come in and make up for that lack, your business grows pretty much automatically. So let's talk about the first thing. When I was growing my detailing business, I quickly learned that basically every other detailer on the planet is unreliable. What I mean by unreliable is they don't show up when they say they're gonna show up, they do not communicate well, they don't follow up, they're not good at building relationships, and they're basically just people who got into the detailing business because they were trying to make a quick buck, but they're not really interested in building a business. This is also true of a lot of industries where there is a lower barrier of entry to get into the industry itself, right? So it's like low barrier of entry means more people get in. But the reality is that doesn't necessarily mean more competition. What it means is more laziness, more unreliability, more undependability. And if all you do is come in and cover those holes, then all of a sudden you stick out like a sore thumb. So the very first thing that I started implementing was this hyper good communication in my detailing business. What that means is whenever I got off the phone with a customer who scheduled with me, I immediately texted them basically their appointment details. This was date, time, and then what they can expect, sometimes even a brief synopsis of the phone call itself. And a lot of detailers don't think of it this way, but this was another reason why I had far less cancellations than other detailers, because I immediately put in writing what we had just spoken about over the phone. And there's something about people seeing it or hearing it and then seeing it that it really sticks in their brain, and it kind of creates this commitment bias where they don't end up canceling on you. In addition to following up after the phone call, I would always tell them that if it was more than a week out, I would follow up a week before, I would follow up 24 hours before, and then I would follow up the morning I was on my way or the afternoon that I was on my way. When you do 3 follow-ups or 4 follow-ups like that, that is something that is not just going to decrease your cancellations, but it is going to make people so pumped because listen, you're not annoying people. A lot of detailers think, well, if I contact my customer that much, I'm just gonna kind of talk to them into an oblivion. The reality is most customers are used to detailers not showing up, not communicating, and just being sucky. And so when you're the opposite of those things, they're like, man, this guy rocks. I didn't even have to think about this. I didn't even have to put it in my calendar because he followed up so many times. I just never forgot that it was happening. The second thing that I used to do, I'd put basically customer information into an Excel spreadsheet. So this is gonna be like their address, their phone number, their name, the type of car that they had detailed, what I did in the detail. But then I would have a section called personal notes. Because I was building a maintenance client list, I in some ways wanted a relationship with my customers. And basically, if the customer said anything that was kind of like important to them or personal or something that I could like bring up at a later date, just to show that I was paying attention, I would do that. And so many of my customers had people or kids who were going away to college, or they had like a pet die, or they had like things like that happen where I would just put a note in so that in 6 months when I followed up, I would just say, hey, just wanted to follow up. I know we talked about getting on the calendar in about a half a year's time. Also would love to hear about how Andrew's doing at University of Alabama. I'm sure he's having a great time. Hopefully you guys have been able to go visit him as well. Let me know when you can follow up over the phone. Would love to talk to you soon. Something like that just adds this extra oomph inside of like the customer to get back to you. It was something that was extremely successful for me. Now the third thing that I would do that I don't see any detailers do, and I do not know why, is I would take content, maybe pictures or video content of a detail that was particularly like nasty or something that was kind of fun to watch, like an extractor or a steamer or whatever. Or I would take some pictures or videos of some damaged areas of the interior or exterior, anything that stood out to me in the detail that I thought the customer might want to know. And after I got done with the detail, I would sit there for 60 seconds and I would go through just a couple pictures to highlight some things about their car to them. In other words, I wanted to say, hey, here's some things you probably don't know about your car. Here's why it's important to know, and here's how you can see visually what I'm talking about. People love talking about themselves. Even more than that, they love talking about their stuff. And people love to feel like they have a sense of control over their stuff. And so what I wanted to do is try to give them agency over their stuff. Hey, do you see how the carpet is super matted down right here on the left-hand side of the driver's side carpet? The reason why this happens is because blah, blah, blah. Here's what it looked like before, here's what it looked like after. The reason I show this to you is just to say that if you see that in other areas of your car, that's actually why, and this is why no matter what kind of detail you get, this is about what it's going to come out as. Boom. What it does is just build trust where you're like, oh my gosh, this detailer is sitting here, it's taking 60 seconds, he's not annoying me, right? He's not giving me 5 minutes of information, but he's showing me things about my car that, oh, that totally makes sense. And here's what's crazy. Most detailers, when they can't get the result that they want to get, they try to hide it. And they're like, hopefully the customer won't see this. Hopefully, you know, they don't call me back about this. What I did was the opposite. I would take a picture, take a video, show why I couldn't get the type of result, and then just tell them plainly with the video showing them. And basically by admitting the limitation of the moment, that person trusted me all the more. And the fourth thing that created a lot of success for me that was totally free, nothing techie about it, was that I always answered the phone or I answered my text messages. And I know a lot of you are like, yeah, I don't want to answer the phone or a text message in the middle of a detail because it kind of interrupts me. And I totally get that. And there's ways to outsource that in the future. But in the beginning stages of your detailing business, you've got to answer the phone and get back to people immediately. Again, this is one of those things that if all you do is do it, it creates success by default because everyone else isn't doing it. Detailers are hard to get a hold of. They suck at talking over the phone. They're super confusing. They don't lead the conversation with the customer. And so customers are just waiting for a detailer who's easy to talk to, makes things make sense, and gives them a price that makes sense for their particular situation. And the deal is basically done. All you got to do is be the guy who picks up the phone and tries to make things make sense. Now, just as a bonus for any of you guys who made it to the end of this video, I want to give you kind of a one-liner you can use on basically any phone call conversation when somebody calls in. Most of the time, if you're answering the phone all day long, the customer is going to say something like, hey, I'm looking for a detail on my Toyota Camry. And then they're going to inevitably say, hey, what do you charge for that? The easiest one-liner I like to use when opening up a phone call conversation in the beginning stages of my business like this, that pushes the conversation on, builds a lot of trust, and builds a lot of rapport, it sounds something like this. Hey Robert, thank you so much for calling. Yeah, I would love to detail the Toyota Camry. Generally speaking, we have a minimum price of about $180 for a complete detail, but I would love to ask you a few questions about your Camry so that I can understand a little bit more about your particular situation and we can make sure that you're getting what you need. The reason why that one-liner works is because most detailers trip over the what do you charge question in the beginning stages of their business, and they feel like they can't charge too high prices because they want the business. The reality is, if you just tell them a minimum rate of what you charge and then immediately move into asking them, can I ask you a few questions about your particular situation so that I can make sure that you're getting what you need? No one says, oh, that price is so high. You don't even have to address the pricing issue. You move straight into the questions, you ask them, build some trust, build some reputation, build some rapport as you're having that conversation, and move on with your life by giving them a price by the end. And generally speaking, when you're a detailer who's really good at communicating, you make sure that you lead the conversation and you are the one who's pulling them into what they need rather than what you need to charge. The pricing question becomes very easy on the latter half of that conversation. Hopefully this was helpful, guys. If it was, hit the like button. As always, thank you so much for being involved. And from Luke here at Wilson Auto Detailing, remember, a great detailer is always learning, and I will see you guys in the next video.